on the U.S. side. Unfortunately, now at least 12 U.S. service members have been confirmed to be killed there in Afghanistan. That's the latest from Fox News' chat program. That is from Jennifer Griffin. Excuse me, there, the national security correspondent. So, Mark, it just seems like every hour and every other update we're going to get is going to continue to get worse here.
I guess my reaction to that, of course, I do agree. I don't think it's going to get better there in the coming days, and I think we need to brace ourselves for that because, once again, it is a war zone where we do not control the territory any longer. I guess my question is, and on a larger, kind of a 30,000-foot view, if you will, is we need to really ask ourselves if military action like this is warranted and needed, and if we should be involved in conflict like this in the future. Because don't be fooled by the $2.2 trillion figure that folks will give you about what we spent on the war in Afghanistan. Since 9/11, the Pentagon has spent $12 trillion in defense. And don't be fooled by the 7,061 number of troops and contractors that have perished over there. Remember, there were 69,000 national military from Afghanistan who perished in the last 20 years, 47,000 civilians, 51,000 opposition fighters, 3,800 contractors, 1,100 allies, and 150,000 military veterans who have died of suicide since that war began. There's over 320,000 people who have died since we began the war on terror in Afghanistan, and probably another 500,000 in Iraq. So we need to really look ourselves in the mirror as the American public, as our leaders in Washington, and say that this has got to stop. The American addiction to war and the continuation of the American military-industrial complex, it's days like today that we all have to ask ourselves, is this something that we can continue any longer?
And Mark,
I say no.
And Mark, how much does not only Washington and the Pentagon play a role in the war on terror, but what about private contractors as well that wanted to obviously continue this fight here for monetary reasons?
That really scares me, though, the whole outsourcing of war to private contractors, because remember, the private contractors are not subject to the Uniform Code of Military Justice. It really becomes a scary gray area of whether that is even ethical, because are they subject to the same rules of engagement the United States military are? I also really question, in the military, you know very well that once you get out of the military, you're making X dollars, but if you get out of the military, you can make 3 times that as a private contractor. And so, when you look at the trillions of dollars spent at the Pentagon in our OCO, the Overseas Contingency Budget, which is the war slush fund, a lot of that is going to high-paid military private contractors, and I stand against that. I don't think that that's something that we should be doing and continuing.